Breaking Down the Law is sponsored by Battle-Born Injury Lawyers.
And we are joined by Matt Hoffmann, as we are every Wednesday. We are breaking down the law on topics that pertain to you at home, ones that we've been hearing about in the news. A big one that we're focusing on today, the opioid epidemic. Yes. We've been talking a lot about that in the news lately. And so you've probably heard about the recent lawsuits that have been filed, in particular against Purdue pharmacies.
Right.
And so, we want to dig a little deeper into that. So they announced their intention to actually file bankruptcy restructuring as a result of all the lawsuits that were coming against them. So the company proposed more than $12 billion to resolve pending lawsuits that have been brought by the states and cities. And so, I want to dig a little deeper into this as to, how it pertains to us here in Nevada, because, we've gotten on board with some lawsuits as it pertains to opioids. So can you kind of explain kind of our role in this, and then just in general how this is playing out?
Yeah, I think one of the questions a lot of people don't know is, what is it that the states and cities are suing for?
Right.
You're not the ones that were addicted. Well, so think of the tremendous burden that this placed on the cities, the states, financially, the law enforcement, the people on probation and parole. You've got Medicaid that's been paying for all these things. We've had to establish all of these rehab clinics to deal with people that have become addicted. So it's kind of ravaged communities across the nation, and that's why they have standing to bring the lawsuits in the first place.
Got it. So it's just kind of the burden that is put on the community as a whole as a result of all of these now addicted people that we have in our community. And unfortunately, a lot of them, haven't made it.
No, and sadly, with the tightening of the opiates and to get them off the street, people are now turning to heroin. And again, who's bearing the burden for all this? We are, as taxpayers in our communities. So with Purdue, they were the manufacturer of OxyContin.
Right.
And it was actually a family-owned business.
Yeah.
So they proposed to do a bankruptcy restructuring. The founding family is going to sell all their interest, and $12 billion plus is going to go towards the proposed settlement. So what would happen in that situation is there'd be a quicker, easier way to get this particular defendant out of the lawsuit. That wouldn't forbid anybody from going after the remaining defendants.
Okay.
The alternative is to say, no, we want more, but now you got to deal with the bankruptcy court, you got to prove different things. I mean, it still has to be chopped up according to proof, but it could take a lot longer. So I could see incentives for the cities and states to possibly take this deal with Purdue Pharmaceuticals. And there's other big players still in the case, still in the cases.
Okay.
And so now we still got Johnson & Johnson.
That's true.
You still have Teva Pharmaceuticals, who they know Nevada well. They were hit with a $500 million verdict years ago for the propofol in the hepatitis C outbreak.
Okay.
And then you have the cases against the distributors. So Walgreens, CVS, Costco, Walmart, all these big pharmacies. And the allegations against all of them are essentially the same, which is that, look, in some instances, you were dispensing, I mean, think about this, more prescriptions than there were people in a certain county. Or, and in Nevada, we have the Nevada Drug Task Force. It's a data bank. So you can see if somebody's filled a prescription with a different doctor the day before. And they had access to all this information, yet they still filled all these prescriptions, which then go on the black market, sell for, tons of money.
So this is just a domino effect, and there are a lot of different players involved, obviously.
Yes, absolutely.
So now, I guess you kind of laid out where this could go in terms of whether you take the settlement or whether you pursue those other defendants that are involved in this. So as it pertains to the actual bankruptcy of Purdue, how does that play out? I
think that the way it plays out is that it doesn't stop the other lawsuits. It only stops lawsuits against Purdue.
Got it.
And I think that what's probably going to happen is that a resolution is going to happen within the bankruptcy court. I'd say sooner rather than later. So then everyone can move on and pursue the rest of them.
I'm curious, the family itself, now, their assets can be separate from the company, correct? So are they going to have to forfeit any of their personal finances?
Well, I think that's part of the deal, is a lot of their fortune is mixed into their stock ownership of Purdue. And they're gonna get rid of that as part of the bankruptcy filing.
Got it. Okay. Well, hey, it's a big issue. I doubt it's the last time that we'll be talking about this as it continues to unfold, and I'm sure it's an issue that probably affects even some of you watching, because it may have hit your family or those you love. So it's one that we'll continue to watch. Matt, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you every Wednesday. He's breaking down the law, and he does it so well.